Welcome to Reel Outdoors Captain's Roundtable. We are in a little bit different place than normal. We're at Pier 1000 in their new ship store, just opened up. So we're down in St. Joseph, Michigan. If you're down here, come down here, check this place out. Awesome, awesome place. But I'm down in the Southern Basin, and we're going to talk a lot of things about the Southern Basin and how it differs from the rest of Lake Michigan. Got a great group of captains that are going to be here today, and we're going to talk about some really good topics. So big thanks to Pier 1000 for hosting us, but also to my major sponsors, Captain Chuck's 2 in Ludington, Michigan, and also Ludington Beverage. So let's bring in those captains and get the show on the road.
Captain Brad Kreighbaum, Michigan City, Indiana.
Captain Joel Devries, St. Joseph, Michigan.
I'm Captain Russ Clark out of St. Joe, Michigan.
All right, once again, welcome to Captain's Roundtable here at our home away from home at Pier 1000 here in St. Joseph, Michigan. Beautiful place. So happy to be here. Great group of guys. So let's get to the topic. All right, so I've done some episodes about talking lake trout up north. And down here, apparently you do it different. And so let's talk about the Southern Basin lake trout, we're going to call it. So Joel?
Yeah.
You're going to Southern Basin us on some trout. Huh?
Yeah, so, we've been talking a little bit amongst ourselves here, kind of give ourselves a head start. But a couple things that we should point out to you is that a lot of us Southern Basin lake trout fishermen skirt all of our spinning glows. So it's unusual to see somebody here fishing without a skirt on their spinning glow. And then, also the size. We love the number 2 sizes here. That seems to be the common size that we all use. But up north, you guys do things just a little bit different than that. So we've just discovered.
We're a half a bubble off.
So our particular boat, we like to troll fast. We definitely like to run more of the Spin Doctor, Chrome Spin Doctor program. We do mix an occasional Dodger in, but usually run the Dodger on an out down or a rigger, not necessarily on a diver. And in our program, we love to run high and low divers. So we'll maybe run 6 rods down. So maybe run the out downs, leave the chute out, or we'll run 5 rods, put the chute in, and then run the high low diver program with it. So we definitely like to spin and go, and we definitely also like to run mostly chrome dodgers. We'll mix in like a closer rig once in a while, which is the yellow dotted chrome Spin Doctor. Where we'll add that.
What did you call it?
The closer rig.
Closer.
So yeah, we call it the closer rig. So we'll add that in too.
What's behind it exactly?
So exactly, usually it's a yellow squiggles.
I don't know what that is either.
Chrome spin and glow, yellow squiggles on it.
What would the lead length be of the
exactly the
spin
lead
and glow?
there?
No, I'm just kidding. All right. I can't give it all up.
Yeah. But we'll definitely run a skirt. And a lot of times we'll run a mirage skirt or we'll run a white skirt. We don't deviate a lot from those 2 skirt colors behind everything we do. But speed, we like when we were talking about that. We like them fast. Especially we like running like a split program. So we'll be 2-3 on the low side of our speed, up to as high as a 2.6 on the fast end of our speed when we fish them. So some of the differences that we discovered here.
It's very different.
Yeah. I agree on the speed. I'm usually running a charter, and I'm usually running a split program. So I'll have all my coppers and boards and even surface rods out offshore. But I rarely put anything metal in the water anymore. Rarely.
Yeah.
We kind of talked a little bit earlier, growing up and, even the late 80s through the 90s when it was just, you could be out there and get your trout and be back at the harbor in no time. And then we pretty much fished them out. I mean, we hurt them so bad that it took a long time for them to come back. And, the last couple of years, we're back at the same program again. We're really relying on the lake trout. And a lot of guys are, we don't want lake trout, we want kings. We don't want this, we get rid of lake trout. Well, if you didn't have the lake trout, sometimes you wouldn't have anything to fish for.
Right.
Yeah. Especially on this end of the lake because it gets so warm. So, the ports that are up north that are fortunate enough to have kings and coho and whatever throughout, while we're down here getting them right now in March, I had my first trip yesterday and just fishing on the beach, and it's great to be out, but the guys up the lake are already catching these cohos, and so we know that we're going to transition to lake trout fast again this year. And I'm the same thing. I'd like to run a split program, so I'll have the same. I'll run 2 out downs, and then most of the time I'm just running 4 wires, and I'll run the wires till they hit bottom. As soon as they hit bottom, I stop them, strip them in 10 feet, and that's it. I walk away.
Take them in 10 feet.
Right. As soon as they start hitting bottom,
So they're
strip them
not
in 10
taking
feet.
bottom afterwards.
Right. I don't let anything hit bottom. We used to a lot. I'm going to say used to, like in the 90s, and we would just bounce bottom. Everybody on this end down here is like the marionette capital of the world in Michigan City growing up. But it was like, they're fishing at a tin can and they bounce and rock, and everybody had, most of the guys had Big Johns, and they flex. And I think there's something to that.
There is. Yeah.
With them arms flexing, and if you didn't have the right cadence of that ball hitting bottom, you weren't catching.
Sure.
Well, then when the zebra mussels came along and whatnot, then you couldn't bounce bottom, and so as of now, I never hit bottom. If it's hitting bottom, I get it off the bottom.
I'm the same way. I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say about the lake trout we've caught the last several years, I mean, the flesh on them is bright orange.
Yeah.
I mean, they've really become a great eating fish. The meat on them is definitely as bright red as any salmon, even coho salmon, that we catch. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And I think they become a really great eating fish.
So something that I've said, if you're a charter, I mean, Joel doesn't have to charter, so lucky Joel.
Right.
No, I just kidding. Joel doesn't charter, but I mean, the rest of us, if there's kings around,
we're going to go after
I'm
them.
going to go after
Right. Yeah.
every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
that. The reason that I fish as much as I fish is because I love to catch king salmon.
Right.
So
But if I hey, we're going to go fish trout today, and we're going to put some stuff out for kings, and we might get one, but I want to see people have a good time, and they're, trout are fun to catch. They're excellent table fish.
Yeah.
If you haven't eaten a trout in 10 years, I challenge you to eat a trout and tell me that you don't
Absolutely.
enjoy
And if you like smoked fish, I would tell you smoked trout is better than smoked salmon.
I just, we deep fry it. We do a whole bunch of different things with it, and it's different fish than it was in the 80s and 90s.
Sure.
We're going to have more and more clients now that they heard the stigma. Oh, they're no good. They're greasy, and they're this and that. I have more of them now coming back and say, "Oh, can we go for trout?"
Yeah,
they don't even care
I
about
have too.
So, and the same thing, we do them. A lot of people just ask for recipes,
Yeah.
And we started blackening them several years ago, and everybody loves to blacken trout. So it's just something different. But the speed wise, you're talking about speed. I'm the same. I want to go fast and still have an opportunity to catch a king.
Yeah. But this is what changed that.
Yes.
Right.
Because with a Dodger, you can't go 2.6, 2.7 with a Dodger. It will not produce fish.
I feel you can't go 2.4 with a flat Dodger to make it work.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean,
if you want to catch salmon, you got to have that speed.
Once you get that 2.2 mark, to
and
me,
the spin doctors, it's forgiving to speed.
Yeah.
This thing will fish at 1.5 and it'll fish at 3.5.
But on top of that, it's also the lead.
Oh my goodness!
I mean,
you must have a line deal.
Let me help you with that.
Right.
Is this too? Wow.
Yeah. So that's
crazy. That's longer than I run really long leads. I feel, and that's longer than mine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 6'4" and I got a pretty good wingspan. You'll see. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
And I run a lot of 10-inch. I mean, and Shane will tell you a couple
Even
years.
shallow?
Yes. I do. I fish them both, but I prefer the bigger ones. And as far as numbers wise goes, putting fish in a boat, like I like to run fast because I can still catch salmon.
Yeah.
I'll start off with 2 wires, and then I'll run monos on top. But as we get later and the water gets too warm, I'm fishing 4 wires and 2 out downs. And I would say half of them got the big ones. You know, somebody says, "Hey, we're getting them on 8-inch or whatever," and you know, we'll switch it up and go to the smaller one. But I do feel that the bigger fish come slower, like as in,
and I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
as in, you know, years past, you know, used to be able to troll down to 1.4, 1.5 with a, you know, with a fin weaver, and you stacked the fin weavers and you just did 1.5 to 1.8 and you caught all the lake trout you wanted. Well, now these have made it so we can fish both at the same time.
What's a fin weaver?
Oh, well, that's way back. But that's what Al Laxon, you know, sure. that was his spoon, you know.
Oh, the fin weaver spoon.
The fin weaver spoon, made by Big John.
By Big John.
The way it's like you pick it up and it feels like nothing.
Paper thin,
paper thin, and call them flutter spoons. I mean, you could troll down to 1.4 and they'd catch trout until they come out your ears. But
I'd say everybody's got their preference in spin and glows. I mean, you can talk 5 different captains of the 5 favorite colors. Oh, these are 2 colors I like. I like the white with the red dot, but with the mylar wings.
With the UV though.
Yeah, with the UV. Yeah. And then, you know, I've always used this one for years too.
Well, Joel sent me his secret spin and glow that works for him. So I'm going to post that all over the internet. I'm not going to. Because he has my secret.
That's right. I want him to post it. We have this with his balance.
Right.
Is it the same as mine?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's a different thing.
Good to know.
But you know, the other thing you want to think about when you're lake trout fishing, Adam, and we've many times, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
So there's been many times where you may have six rods down or 5 rods down for trout, and for whatever reason you shrink that to 3, and you start getting bit.
Yeah.
So you pull, especially on a high-low diver situation, you pull the low or pull the high, the other one goes off.
Yeah.
So be cognizant of that. If you're not getting consistently bit and you're marking the fish, think about less is more.
Yeah.
So
when it comes to lake
I guess
trout.
I'll ask you, since you're chartering as well, and Adam, I don't know how you guys do it out there, but let's just say Quake always ran his completely opposite of me. I like my low diver on a 1.5. I like it on a wire on the bottom. And I will run my outside, since it's, so let's just say earlier in the season, I might have it set up as a mono diver or a slide diver. And I know it's going to be on a 3 or 3.5. And it's going to be shallower. I want that out away from the boat. Yeah, not too far where it's coming up under your coppers. But is that how you run yours, or do you run yours the other way around?
No, just like you're saying. But I mean, we'll still run them, you know, back 400, 500, you know, even the high dive when you're trout fishing, you know. And I was
Are you running mags on both, or still mag regular?
I do both. I go both ways. Sometimes mags on all 4, and sometimes mags on the lows and regular size on the.
When I go straight to trout, I do double wires on each side, and it's all mags.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I started really stretching out my leads to where you have to hand line everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, same.
But,
we hand line everything.
But I think it puts more numbers in the boat. I don't know if it gets lazy back there behind the divers because it's so far back.
Right.
It's starting to get a lazier, whereas if you had it closer, maybe. But I'm the same way. I'll run one right off the bottom. Let's just say bottom is 220. I'll have the other one at maybe 175 or 150.
So it's a little.
So it's
15, 20 feet.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's up off the bottom, and to me it seems like, you know, I was just always had it in my head that them big ones are laying tight on the bottom, and they want it super slow, and they just want it drifting by. And I've caught all my biggest trout going slow. However, I would say the last few years I've caught more bigger ones suspended off the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't know how it's the same.
I have to say, I've had it both ways, you know. And I don't know, this is a real easy way to put your stuff away too. These are just pool noodles. And you cut them pieces, and then you can just wrap your spin and glow like such.
But I think it's important, like with the spinning glows, the same with meat rigs, is when you're wrapping them up, you know, making sure that these wings
don't get broke.
It's so tight that the wing is pushed into the body.
Yeah.
That thing has to react the right way in the water.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Same thing, you know, with your meat rigs. If you wind it too tight and it straightens that curve out a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's not doing it.
Not turning.
Yeah.
You're talking Spanish to me.
Yeah, meat rigs are. It starts in South Haven and goes north.
We don't
Definitely not in Indiana.
But
you know that's a good. I think it's a good point. Like be aware of your tackle when you're putting it away,
Right.
because you can definitely damage your tackle when you're putting it away. And consistency, you know,
You do it always the same. Yeah.
always the same. Being able to repeat the same thing over and over is probably one of the keys to being more successful.
Yeah.
definitely.
You know, if you have a 25-foot lead on your downrigger and it goes, and then you set it at 15 and it doesn't go,
Right.
but you didn't notice that there was a difference. I mean, that's usually there's usually normally a reason.
How many guys run a mate? And you know, like my son fishes with me, and you know, I'm pretty hard on him because that's how. You know, growing up in Michigan City, back then there was, you know, 60 charter captains, and then there were 50 and 40, and then 30, and then I kind of bounced around with everybody, and then now there's, I think, 11 maybe. But you know, I do a little friendly, hey, see who side beat two, you know, and it's, you know, how often, hey, how far are you running at? Because one will start going, and then how far are you running that back? Well, I'm at, you know, 10 feet. I'm like, no, running another 10 or vice versa.
Right.
You know, you know, Quake was always the big one that, you know, I'm only running at 8 foot behind the ball. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's working, then it's working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
if it's not working, adjust.
as far as trout, to me, like I always think they like it lazy.
Yeah.
So come trout season, when we have to start only strictly fishing trout, when they're just totally gone for us, you know, July and August, there's not much happening down there but trout. We can go out and find silvers, but it's just when we do, we go after them and that's it. But I'll start going to more mags, a lot more mag spoons. You know, and that's, to me, it's just that even though I'm running slow, that mag spoon is just lazy.
Bigger blade, you know, and it's got a little bit of a kick to it.
So question for you guys, what line are you running from your diver? What weight of line are you running from your diver to your spin doctor?
For trout.
Yeah, and then what are you running on your leader? What line, what weight of line, what type of line are you running?
25 pound.
All the way through?
Pretty much all the way through. Yeah.
Okay. So we run at least 30 on the leader line, and then we run fluorocarbon. We'll run 20 or 30 on the floral, depending. We'll play with both.
We're 25 or 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes even 40
on the fluorocarbon.
On the floral. If we're fishing really deep, we'll run a heavier leader.
Yeah. Okay.
I run 30 behind the diver, and then 40.
Oh, you run 40
from the.
Okay, so it's pretty much everybody is different.
Well, for me, and I've played around with it, but for me, I feel like that heavier line, I'm not so much worried about them seeing it with the floral, because I just think that it's more of a reaction bite. I think that stiffer line is giving it
different action,
keeping that a harder action. So you know, maybe if I ran 20, maybe that's just kind of back there, just making a subtle loop. Whereas if I'm running 40, it's you know, to me, it's the difference between putting on a rope or putting on a cable. It's keeping that memory, you know.
So we have separate divers for salmon and for trout. Totally different, right? Like we just have both of them set up in the gunnels. And our trout, we don't run a snubber, but we run mono for the leader on the diver, and usually 30 pound. And it seems like the stretch is good. I mean, with charters,
there's so much stretch with that length there.
But we lose less fish not having a snubber for trout.
For the trout.
For trout.
Softer bite.
For kings, we run 40 pound fluoro and a snubber. But we need the snubber. So I don't know. I mean, that's just something that we've come up with. And I think people, like when you get into the fluoro thing, you got to remember it sinks for one. And two, it doesn't stretch.
Right.
Especially if you're using leader material.
Yeah.
You know, it gets to the snap point and it's gone.
Yeah. It's more brittle for sure.
Yeah.
Especially in cold weather. I've used it winter fishing and it can break easily.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would, as far as like you were saying, salmon and trout, I mean, last couple of years, we've had this big push of spring kings where they were abnormally, big.
Large,
and we were doubling up this numbers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, we were having to where.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty violent bite.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they're
cold water,
so
too.
aggressive
They
in
fight
that cold
the whole
water.
way in.
So we're doubling up numbers, whereas, we get the trout season, we just running one. But
A lot of times, what I'll do on the king bites, clients can't do it, but on the wire, but when that rod's hammering on a diver, I'll run over a free split, and just thumb it out there, and then, let it get a line out away from the boat, and then
Calm
lock
down.
it in. Yeah.
I think it helps it kind of drift back to the center, too.
Yeah.
That helps control that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But all right, so I hope you learned a little bit about the trout fishing down here and maybe variations from the north side, but definitely some good tips and tricks to try out. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to Pier 1000 once again for having us, and Cutwater once again for some great cocktails in a can. We hope you tune in next week. Until then, tight lines and cheers to you.